Hey everybody, welcome back to Health Matters. I'm Ryan O'Connor. These are brought to you in association with Cipla. Every week, a brand new awesome guest. And this week, former pro rally driver. He's won so many South African titles. Not only has he got this impressive resume, but only the one of a very few drivers to have made a success of his career overseas. Jon Williams, thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. It's great to be on the show finally.
Now, for those that don't know how hard it is to compete in any form of motorsport from a physical point of view, I mean, there's a hell of a lot of training that goes in and preparation that goes into being a racing car driver. Let's not even say that we're professional yet. Let's just say racing driver.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's putting your arm out the window and sort of cruising down Camps Bay Main Road, but it's not the case. With race car drivers, we actually have to be really fit. We spend a lot of time over 3 days in the car. We do up to anything between 4,000 kilometers over a week where we do recce and then finally driving. So yeah, a lot of effort goes into being fit and making sure, obviously, because weight's such a big thing in the cars. We can't afford to put on those extra 2-3 kilograms of weight.
You've been racing your whole life from a very young age, which means that you've had to be disciplined from a very young age. I mean, you can go into any sport, whether it's motorsport, cricket, hockey, rugby, you name the sport. You can go into it from a young age and you're relatively okay in terms of having that discipline, but you've got to be kind of a really disciplined in motorsport because literally every kilo counts against you.
Yeah, I think from a young age, you have to make the commitment to decide, is this what you want to do professionally? And I made that choice really young, and I think it was, we skipped a couple of parties here and there. And
a couple of pizzas and burgers. And
you made the choice that you got to go full and commit, and the consistency is really important to being successful. But I woke up, I dreamt it, I slept it. This is what I wanted to do. I had pictures of world rally cars on the inside of my cupboard, and every time it used to motivate me, go out and train and put the effort in from a very young age. And that discipline shows later on in your career where you need to be committed and miss out on things that maybe at a young age it's easy just to go to those parties and those things. But if you want to make it to the top level, you have to sacrifice things, unfortunately.
You come from a family where motor racing is very much a part of the growing up. I mean, your uncle's a highly successful motor racer. The family support is integral to anyone succeeding in professional sport. At what age did you go, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, from a young age, I think if I remember back, going to go watch, the likes of Sarel van der Merwe and the Steve Wyndham's local
Who Steve Wyndham's is Jon's uncle, by the way.
Yes, these legends of the sport and being at awe of these drivers. Back then they were like superstars, mega stars, so almost rock stars, And I remember watching this, going, man, and I played all the sports. I played team sports because it's very important. Racing it is an individual.
Sure.
In terms of when we go race, but you need the team of people behind you to make you successful. So I played normal sports, but I think from a very young age, I was just at awe at how these guys could control these cars on the surface, and that was what I wanted to do.
You've competed at a very high level. I mean, the World Rally stage, the World Rally Championship. What are some of your highlights looking back at that career, where that wasn't all that long ago?
Yeah, I had to pinch myself being there amongst these greats, the likes of Peter Solberg, Sebastian Loeb,
Kimi Räikkönen.
Kimi Räikkönen. I was lucky enough he did a sabbatical and actually came to rally. I mean, most Formula One drivers want to rally because they just think we're nuts, And it was really awesome to go and travel and to see the places that I've been. I mean, we travel all over Europe, and to have a professional team behind me. A lot of pressure, but loved it. It was just, there's so many highlights to compete in iconic events throughout the world.
Now, the good news is that having such a stellar career means that for somebody to employ you as a precision driver, it's a very easy thing to do. They look at your CV, they go, this man knows what it takes to drive these cars. But something that struck me about learning about what it is that you do for a living was the fact that a lot of racing car drivers in various other disciplines get to go out and do practice laps. Now, let me just remind you, when you watch TV and you watch Formula One and you watch any kind of circuit racing, you watch that circuit and drivers get to do that circuit over and over and over again before it's actually a race day. On a rally circuit, you get to look at it on a piece of paper. You don't get to practice it, and then off you go, boom. Well, you're taking corners where there's trees that pop out of nowhere, literally cliff edges. I mean, it's really precision driving without any practice.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment, like you say, because obviously we've got a navigator that sits next to us. So when they call the notes, you have to trust what he's saying. If he says, crest flat out, you can't see what's on the other side. But if you're braking, you're going to lose time. So you got to be fully committed. And driving on the mixed surface, we learn to get a feel very quickly for the vehicle and the cars. So it's done me well outside of my racing career to do these global TV ads and car commercials. We don't get a lot of time to practice. It's jumping in, and we've got a very good feel for what goes on underneath us, and get up to speed really quickly.
You've worked with some big brands. I think the likes of Porsche, BMW, Mercedes that you're still currently driving for. That must be quite a thrill as well, because knowing that you get to test and see some of the cars, literally in some instances, a year or two before the world sees the brand new Porsche, Jon will have driven it.
Yeah, it's quite cool because, like you say, these cars only launched a year or 2 years later. And also some of these cars are prototypes. They're still in development stage. We get to drive them. So one, they fly all the way out here to shoot in our beautiful Cape Town city because we've got so many different landscapes that they can shoot. But the other thing is to not make any mistakes, because they only have this vehicle. So if I crash it or damage it, that's the whole ad over and done with. Sure. But it's quite something to drive, and obviously give some advice on these cars. The engineers that come along, they ask what I think, how do the cars, and technology is moving so fast that autonomous type of driving and self-assistance with these cars is incredible, the technology.
We've come a long way over the last 10 years in terms of what we put into our bodies. And when we started this conversation, we spoke a little bit about fitness levels and what you require to stay at the very top of your game. And I take it that even in this day and age, you're not over the hill, you're still fairly young, but supplementation becomes quite an essential part of what drivers have to be mindful of. Things like recovery products, things like, and the one thing that I know that you're very big on is your magnesium intake. That as an athlete, you really are aware of how much slower recovery time is the older you get.
Yes.
Has that always been a way of thinking for you? Have you always thought it from the fitness level? Because I'm going to divide this between fitness and then mental fitness. But when it comes to your actual fitness, because I know that at the moment you're a massive believer in magnesium.
Yeah.
Were you 10 years ago?
No, probably not off the start, in my career. But then, you get educated. We had team doctors and physios and all that sort of come along with you on these races, and they educate you. And I mean, nowadays with technology, it's nice. If you want to understand something, you pick up your phone and you Google and it give you. But back then, we didn't have the smartphones and technology. So I've sort of grown into it. But it's helped me. I think long term to look after yourself is important. And for us, it's to present ourselves to these manufacturers, you have to be fit and look the part, and also to be able to concentrate at that high level for that amount of time. You need to be at the best peak fitness.
Well, that's the second part of the question, was from actual physical wellness and fitness to mental fitness and wellness. And you mentioned of concentration and focus. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of you think through in your mind before you go and you compete on an international stage. A lot of it actually is great skills to take into business, to take into other aspects of your life. Is that commitment, one, and then that mindset that you're so focused on what it is that you need to do next. How important is mental fitness in the world of rallying, for example?
No, it's crucial. I mean, we're operating at speeds of 200 plus. So a split-second decision can be the difference between you being on the road and going off, and also between having a really bad accident and injuring yourself. So that concentration level needs to be at the top all the time. And it's just helped me outside of my career, because everything happens at pace these days. No one's willing to wait long for things to happen. So it's taught me to be punctual, to be on time, to look after yourself, to be fit, to be healthy, and just generally getting up and waking up with the right amount of energy. You're always going to put you in a good foot going forward in life in whatever you do.
It's nice to see as well on that note as well that international sport has had almost this revival of mental education rather around mental wellness. That we're seeing drivers of all professions, drivers that very well, international on all forms of FIA regulated driving, that are actually very concerned and take it really as important to them as it is their actual physical fitness, their mental wellness.
Yeah, look, Ryan, it's so important, especially nowadays. With, like we say, with social media. The drivers can take a lot of abuse for making really. Not, it looks easy when you're sitting in your couch and you go, why did he do that? Why did he do that? But actually,
and they flack a lot of abuse.
They do. So nowadays they've got psychologists that come on the teams and support the guys, and they're able to talk through the situations and handle a bit better. And I think that's great, because it is is important, especially with professional sport. There's nowhere to hide these days. You're in the
Sure.
limelight 24/7.
What do you tell a youngster that looks up to Jon Williams and says, I want to be the next racing car driver, the next sensation, the next Formula One star, the next Jody Scheckter? What do you say to them to encourage them to do it? Because we know that motor racing is an expensive sport, and we know that we do have the talent here in South Africa.
I think, Ryan, it's important, when I was starting out my career, a lot of people told me, it's impossible. You live in Africa, South Africa. It's, they choose European drivers. There's millions of kids trying to make it. But, one thing that I stuck to my guns, I just never gave up. I believed in myself and I was determined to find a way. And I think, it's just don't give up, work hard and put your head down and opportunities will come. If you put yourself out there and you play full out, it will happen,
We're seeing that now. There's another, a brilliant youngster that's followed in your footsteps.
Yes, yeah.
That you and I have both recently chatted to that's doing really well in the international rally circuit.
Yeah, and there's also, again, it's the same in his situation. I mean, it's very expensive sport, so a lot of the European drivers come with money, but there he went from a simulator rig, winning that competition to get an opportunity to race overseas with the real deal. So there are ways. You just got to believe in it and cut the negative out and just be positive. And like I say, that consistency pays off.
Giving back now in terms of an incredible podcast and video series called The Fast Lane, where you and myself, in actual fact, do a lot of testing of vehicles. We talk a little bit about life from a driver's point of view, going to weekends like Formula One weekends, local motor racing weekends, and then test driving cars and giving quite honest reviews on how we see those cars. That is obviously a part of your life that it's this new chapter and that's doing very well. And it's also, to that point, allowed you to talk a little bit about from that experience point of view about some of the vehicles we drive.
Yeah, look, Ryan, I've loved it. It's like I say, a new chapter for us. I mean, we're both very passionate about cars. And I think it's nice to be able to share that with people, especially when you're trying to buy a car for your lifestyle. We always speak about that, whether it's camping, whether it's, for your daily use or whatever, it's great. And I think, that kind of being honest, because nowadays there's so many options on what you can buy. It's nice to be able to give back. And like I say, we genuinely just enjoy it. So that passion comes through when we drive these cars.
Highly disciplined, extremely motivated. These are two of the attributes that I've noticed from all the professional sports people we've had on the series of Health Matters. It has been absolutely incredible to learn and see first-hand experience from mates that have disciplined to keep themselves away from donuts and things that go straight to the hips. I, for one, am looking forward to getting my hands on a greasy donut. Well, this gentleman over here, he's looking forward to a run and supplementing both his physical and mental health. Join us, like, subscribe, follow this series called Health Matters, and we'll be back with another one, proudly brought to you by Cipla.